I want to call the February 8th, 2016 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting to order. If you would, please bow your head. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the gifts we receive from you. We ask that you watch over the men and women who serve in our armed forces, as well as all of our emergency responders. I ask for wisdom and understanding for this court. Grant us humility in our everyday life, and give us the courage to make right decisions for our Daviess County community. We ask all these things in your name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, I want to welcome everyone to our February 8th, 2016 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting. Jenny, are you ready?
Yes. Item 1, consideration for presentation A, Treasurer's Report for December 2015.
Mr. Hendricks.
December 31st, the total cash balance is $24,981,533. That the general fund is $9,584,523. Receipts are coming in as we had budgeted. Expenses are within the ranges we would have anticipated, so I have no other comments at this time.
Commissioners, any question or comment for the treasurer? Mr. Treasurer, would you specifically look at our solid waste closure fund and our solid waste post-closure fund and tell us how much money we have in those two funds?
The closure has $4.4 million and the post-closure fund has $2.9 million.
That money is in escrow there to take care of any issues that might happen out solid waste.
That is correct. We are required legally to put that money aside. It can only be spent for specific items. Simplistically, the closure fund is if we go out of business and need to close the landfill, or you don't have to go out of business, you could just run out of room at that one and move over to another one, but you can't just walk off and leave it. We have certain requirements that we'd have, layers and soil and whatever, that you have to reclaim it and make it look presentable. You can't just walk off and leave an empty hole. The post-closure money would be there for in the future if an event were to occur that there's leakage or something happened, erosion, you would have money to go in and repair it.
Where's the money come from?
It comes from the fee that we add. Of the money that we collect, right now we're required to put $1 per ton for closure and 25 cents per ton for post-closure aside.
Okay. So that's a state requirement, I assume.
It is, yes.
Okay. Any other question or comment, commissioners? That's just a presentation. Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Next item, Jenny.
Item 2, consideration for approval A, minutes of the January 21st, 2016 court meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, you've had a copy of the minutes in your possession for some time. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
B, all claims for all departments.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion second. Again, Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court in your possession for some time. Do you have any questions of the Treasurer? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
C, MOA with Mizkan America Incorporated regarding waste product disposal, and authorize the judge executive to execute said MOA.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and second. Mr. Smith, would you explain to us why we're doing this?
Yes, this is now an annual event for us. A few years ago, when the Ragu spaghetti sauce plant was owned by Unilever, the corporate office had decided they wanted to go to zero landfilling. And so at that time, because of our flow control ordinance, we had to have an agreement to allow them to take the waste out of the county. Even though Unilever has sold that, this company, the company that bought them, Mizkan, still is wanting to go through that route. So this is just every year we'll have to be signing this.
Any question or comment, Commissioners?
There's nothing changed on this at all?
Just names.
Okay. Any other question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
D, solid waste disposal agreement with OMU.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Mr. Smith.
Yes, as you all are familiar with, OMU awarded a bid back, I believe it was October, September, October, and we've been negotiating since then regarding their coal combustion residuals disposal agreements. During the course of that, there was a lot of negotiation. We wanted to make sure it was something that was fair to both parties, and this is what the agreement, what you have in front of you, is what we came up with. The highlight of the point is that we have a minimum in this agreement that they must bring us a minimum of 125,000 tons over the course of 5 years. They can bring all 125,000 tons in 1 year. They can wait, do it all at the end. In addition, it's not limited to just CCRs. It's any waste that they currently are not bringing to us. So this gives OMU the capability that if they can find a lower cost option, primarily through beneficial reuse and disposal back in the mines, they're allowed to go that route. But it also gives us the ability to have a revenue stream that we know of that we can complete construction.
Okay. This is mainly being driven by an EPA regulation change?
Yes, on October 17th of 2015, EPA would no longer let OMU dispose of their CCRs the way they were, which was taking it to Hancock County and dumping in clay pits.
Okay. A lot of the other utilities dispose of it or don't dispose of it by forming slurry pits or just piles of CCR next to their plant, subject
Correct.
to the weather, subject to water, rain, leaching it into the rivers. And I say that because there was a gentleman that called, I think, texted or emailed Commissioner Wathen today. I've sent a copy of all those emails around, and he had some concerns with the contract, with the fact that we were going to bring CCR from OMU to our contained landfill. He sent us quite a few, links to various studies, and I think 99% of the links were talking about slurry pits. They were talking about pits such as what OMU was doing, dumping CCR into clay pits. He also had some concerns regarding beneficial use, where they would take CCR and use it in the construction of wallboard, would use it as fill, as road base and those kinds of things. And I don't think anyone up here would disagree with the statement that there are probably some bad things in CCR. I mean, we know there's arsenics and there's mercury and there are all kinds of things that would be dangerous. But I also don't think that anyone up here would disagree that taking this material and placing it in a self-contained, lined landfill built to the specs of engineers who build it and design it based on the EPA specifications, the specifications of Division of Solid Waste, based on the air quality division, based on Division of Water, and those kinds of things. I want to assure everyone that our landfill is not the type of landfill that was referenced in these articles. I can tell you that our landfill, number one, there was a concern regarding water, underground streams. Our landfill has monitoring wells above the landfill as well as below in the flow of the water. And that's so that we can monitor those wells and make sure that there is no breach in that containment facility or the containment mechanism that we have for the landfill. Mm-hmm. We also have 23, if you've been around for a while, we have 23 wells that pump water out of the landfill so that we can recover the natural gas generated by the landfill, the decomposition of the refuse, and so that we can beneficially use that gas instead of just flaring it off. By taking some of that water out, it makes it better. We don't have all that water filtering and leaching down through that material, picking up whatever. The landfill is constructed with a layer of clay that's compacted to 10 to the minus 7th I think that is correct. And permeability. And in effect, what that means is it would take 204 years for a single drop of water to filter through that clay liner. Think about that. That's how compacted the clay liner is. Then on top of the clay liner, we put a biomat,
Bentonite.
two
Bentonite.
biomats with a layer of bentonite in between. Now, bentonite is nothing more than diatomaceous earth. I know that because my degree's in biology, and I've also been to bentonite mines out in Wyoming, and they use bentonite to cap wells. And one of the reasons that they do, bentonite has a wonderful capacity to, when it absorbs water, it expands 700 to 900%. And by putting bentonite in there, you have another layer. For you plumbers, Mike, you and I are probably the only ones that understand this, but we use oakum in a lead and oakum joint. And oakum is nothing more than hemp that we caulk into a joint, and when water tries to seep out of the joint, it swells and seals the joint. Everybody thinks that the lead is what makes that watertight. It's not, it's the oakum. On top of that mat, the best I remember, we put
60 mil.
60 mil membrane. Pretty thick. It's better than the little 4 mil plastic membrane that a lot of us use, or 6 or 8 mil. On top of that, we put another mat of some sort, and I forget what it is. On top of that, we put a pipe to catch the leachate so that it can't get down to all those other protective layers. We cover that with 18 inches of gravel, river gravel, so that the water is just like electricity, isn't it, James Lacey? Seeks the path of least resistance. Electricity goes to the ground through the path of least resistance. Water goes wherever it's easiest to flow. So we want it to flow into that leachate pipe. On top of that, we put another membrane, and then we put 15 feet of what we would call soft fill. And we want it to be soft because we don't want it compacted and driving that down to penetrate those liners. The leachate, which is what everyone is worried about, is collected in the pipe and taken to two 150,000-gallon concrete tanks, which sit within a bladder. And between the bladder and the tank is a pipe that runs out to a ditch with a spigot, so that we can go and test that every so often to make sure there's nothing wrong with the concrete tank. The leachate is pumped out of the tanks. It's taken to RWRA. We pay RWRA to treat it just like they do any other sewage. They take out all those bad things before it's discharged in the river. Division of Water, Division of Solid Waste looks at that leachate probably 2 or 3 times. In the 20 years that we've operated this landfill, and anyone can perform an open records request if they want, but in the 20 years there has not been a single occasion where those test wells downstream of our landfill have shown anything contaminating the groundwater. So while I understand the concern of this gentleman and perhaps some of the concerns of the folks out in the community, suffice it to be said that we are the most competent person, we are the most competent site to take care of this material and make sure that it doesn't do anything to the groundwater in this community, that it doesn't do anything to the air, that it doesn't, those chemicals are put into the ground where they're going to stay until we go back. And James Lacey, how long will it be before we start mining our landfills? We may end up doing that, you know, very, very well could. So, you know, I don't know if that gentleman is here. We invited him here, and if he is, he's certainly welcome to speak to the rest of us. But before I do that, commissioners, do I have any questions or comments by you guys?
I think you covered it pretty thoroughly, so I'll pass.
Okay.
I'll just say I was sent 2 different emails, 15 different articles. 3 of them are repeats, and I read every one of them. And basically, my summary of what I read was that most of the articles, all but one of them, were older articles, 2010, 11, 9, 7. And the summary of those articles in my mind was saying that the problem was that these these pits and ponds that they were using, they were not lined, they were not regulated, and they were not monitored in any way, fashion, or form. So actually, after reading these articles, I feel a lot better because I'm convinced that, in fact, I submit that we're part of the solution instead of part of the problem. We actually are making the environment better and this community better by doing what we're doing to help protect the citizens from this product. So I feel a lot better than I did this morning. I feel great.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Commissioner?
I do too, and Judge, you did an excellent job describing that, and as well as, I don't think anyone up here would even consider jeopardizing the public in any way. So, thanks, Judge.
Before I open it up to the public, one of the things I do want, there was a question, there was an article where it said a judge questions the beneficial use of a coal ash dump. Coal ash dump, remember, it's dumping it into a clay pit or a slurry. And this article was actually in 2015, but it says a state judge on Monday questioned why environmental regulators granted permits for Duke Energy to dump coal ash from its power plant into open pit clay mines in Chatham and Lee counties. And again, we're not unlined, we're not an open pit. The Chatham Citizens Against Coal Ash Dump and the Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League challenged the legality of state permits, arguing that the clay mines are more akin to solid waste landfills than mine reclamation projects and should meet the stiffer design, construction, and operational regulations of a landfill. Well, in effect, our county landfill meets exactly what the citizens of the League Against Coal Ash Dumps and the Blue Ridge Environmental is asking.
I think that's this article.
That
is
is
in today's paper.
Yeah, probably
About
is.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, anyway, there you be. Anyone out here want to come forward? Yes, sir. I knew you would. Remember that conversation about how far I can throw this gavel?
James Lacey Kamuf, 1119 Pembroke, Apartment 4, Orangeboro, Kentucky. God bless America, as always. Judge, I want to say thank you for your explanation. I think you do a better job than just about anybody, other city elected official, about explaining why things, the real technical details too. Excellent. But since we talked about age and how long it would take to cipher through this landfill material and what an excellent job it is, I do think geologically on the time frame of probably, I know this is religiously controversial, but the Earth is probably 4.5 billion years old, and so being 200 years old to filtrate through, I don't think is really a very good argument, and it's really why I am such an environmentalist, because we've been here such a short time, and we may well be here such a long time, and what we're doing today is going to affect so many generations into the future. So that's what I'd like to say. But really, this is just another example of the extreme amount, how difficult it is to burn coal much longer. I mean, we are strip mining right here in Daviess County. At least we're going to take care of our own business now. We're going to strip mine it here. We're going to dispose of it here. So, and I do think this is part of the short-term solution. But I'd just like to remind people, just 125,000 tons is going to be deposited. Maybe a year, maybe just in 5 years, but maybe a year.
Over a 5-year period.
Yeah, as it is now, but it may well change. I think you have to admit
I think
that
by the time that 125,000, if we get that much, they will stop using coal and be into a gas-fired plant. And this is 5-year contract. It's only a 5-year contract.
Yeah, that's the only
and
point.
if they were to convert tomorrow, the contract would become null and void.
Okay.
Is that correct? Or it would be prorated. There's a proration there.
Well,
so,
and I'll sit down, but I'd just like to say that quickly. It's just, this is another example of just the extreme amount we have to do to protect our environment now, and how costly that is. And I think, like, as somebody that attends environmental meetings and stuff like that, more and more I do agree with the Sierra Club. It's just the cost of coal is never really adequately analyzed. It's just we have to do more and more steps in order to use these types of things. So, and people say, well, if we want to go to renewable, it's just be more expensive. But I'd just like to remind the general public, there's just many issues that make this more and more difficult to burn coal.
Many faceted. I don't disagree with it, James Lacey. Thank you for those comments. Anyone else? There being no other comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
E, Panther Creek Park 2016 Concessions Agreement, and authorize the judge executive to sign said agreement.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Mr. Lee.
March 1st, 2016, Judge, ending November 15th, 2016. This is an agreement to be able to provide concessions at Panther Creek Park in both concession stands. There is a utility fee associated with this. Basically, if they are open for at least 1 hour, it's $15. Would be happy to entertain any questions. This is a standard agreement.
Standard agreement,
At
same
the,
as we signed last year and the year
Owensboro,
before.
Davis County, Babe Ruth.
Standard agreement.
Yes, sir.
Any question or comment?
Ross, is that $15 a day?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
F, authorize the judge executive to sign and submit any and all documents relating to the 2016 10.1 acre landfill cell construction.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Smith.
Well, you all may recall at the last meeting, we approved a agreement with Weaver Consultants to do bid specifications and bid awarding on this 10.1 acre expansion. More documents are going to be coming down the line that will need the judge's signature instead of bringing each one to you all individually for things such as quality control work, etc. Instead of bringing each one of these documents for him to sign off on that he agrees to their price, instead just having you all give him blanket approval for all of them.
Question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
G, proposal for the 2016 annual survey report landfill.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Smith.
Yes, every year the Division of Solid Waste in the state of Kentucky requires us to do a survey of where our waste boundaries at the residual landfill and our municipal waste, the contained landfill, the MSW landfill. In the past, the company that did this did not require the judge's signature on the contract. They just would give us a price as part of a bid request or quote. The company we're using now does have a place for the judge's signature to accept the proposal, so that's why you're seeing this for the first time. But we have performed this annual survey every year since the landfill opened.
And the amount of the survey?
$8,000.
Okay, is that pretty standard?
That's about what we paid last year, just a little bit more.
Any question or comment by the commission? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
H, proposal to add counties to the solid waste permit transfer station.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Why are we doing this, Mr. Smith?
Well, it's a wonderful thing. The most recent inspector at our transfer station from the state interpreted a rule differently than the way that the state has interpreted it for the last 20 years that the transfer station's been open. And they required, this inspector required that we have a list of counties that can bring waste into the transfer station. We currently have this for our landfill because a landfill is a permit that you must have hearings for. A transfer station is not. A transfer station gets its state permit merely by application. So Robbie's opinion and the opinion of every previous state solid waste inspector has been that you don't need to have a county inventory list. So obviously he discussed it, and the inspector has a badge and Robbie doesn't.
Someone from Campbell County is down here, decides to dump some old clothes they have in the car. They go to the transfer station. We ask them, what county are you from? And we won't allow them if they're not on the list.
That's why we're going to put every county in the state on the list.
Is that why it costs $2,400?
No, it's filling out all the darn paperwork is why it costs $2,400.
Question or comment by the commission? I hope nobody in the public has a question. There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
I, hired Danielle Kamuf as an administrative assistant in Department of Parks and Recreation effective February 15, 2016 subject to successful completion of pre-employment screenings.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. This, Commissioners, is usually the time during our meeting in which we ask the prospective employee to stand and we throw things at them. But since we won't do that to Danielle, Mr. Lee, you want to talk about this prospective employee?
Yes, Judge, we are very pleased to bring Danielle before the court for your approval to be able to hire her as our administrative assistant. As you're aware, Lisa Adams recently retired as the assistant director, and Candace Sturgeon has moved into that position. Through a process of interviews, we were able to select Danielle as our recommendation to the court, and special thanks to Jenny and her help in human resources in being able to do so.
How many applicants did we have?
Judge, I believe we had 156 applications.
Okay, so you're the best of the bunch, Danielle. Well, now you can stand up. And did you notice she started to stand up till I said throw things at her, and then she ducked down behind. And Larry, I noticed you kind of scoot down the other end. Yeah. Well, I hope that we can welcome you aboard here in a few minutes when we take this vote. Commissioners, anything? Commissioner Wathen, you served on that committee, didn't you?
Yes, I did, and I want to mention that we interviewed quite a few people, and they were really well-qualified people. But Danielle, she made it to the top, and we're glad to have her.
Okay, good. Commissioners, any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose, motion carries. Welcome to the crew.
J, hire Samuel E. Hodgkins, Sr. as a part-time heavy equipment operator in the Department of Solid Waste effective February 9, 2016, subject to successful completion of pre-employment screenings.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. David, you want to talk to us a little bit about this?
Yes, as you recall back late last year, you all approved the hiring of a part-time position in the solid waste department out at the landfill. We had the position filled, and I think the man quit after, what was it, Jenny, about a week, maybe two?
Mm-hmm.
So we finally found it takes a long time to find people who have experience operating bulldozers and that such. So this man was laid off from his job in Indiana, working at a coal mine.
And Commissioners, in the interest of full disclosure, this gentleman is also a heavy equipment mechanic, a
Yes,
very
he
good
is.
heavy equipment mechanic. And I quite probably will bring back to you a recommendation that we hire him as a mechanic for the other time. As you know, you've heard us talk about trying to find qualified mechanics, certified mechanics is terrible, and trying to find a diesel mechanic is even worse. So anyway, any question or comment? Yes, sir.
I just mentioned different people have different definitions of part-time. This is, to me, temporary. In other words, he will work 40 hours a week, but it's a temporary job. So it's full-time, temporary.
Correct.
For clarification.
Correct.
Okay. Any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
K, promote Danny Roberts to service technician in the Department of Public Works effective February 1, 2016.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Brasher, is this one of yours?
It is, Judge. We had a equipment operator move to fleet maintenance several months back. We had service techs promoted to that operator position, which left us a position of service tech open. Danny was recently hired at Daviess County Fiscal Court as a utility technician, laborer, and very pleased with him. Very talented young man. He applied for this, and we're glad to recommend approval.
Question or comment by the commission? Just a comment here. Congratulations, Danny. It's always nice when we can promote from within. There being no other comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
3, consideration for appointment. A, Jamie Beisel to the Oasis Board, term effective immediately, expiring 12/1/18.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second, Commissioners. Jamie Beisel is replacing Angela Clark, who served 3 terms. I want to thank Angela for her service. She did an excellent job, and I know Jamie will do so going forward. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
4 ordinances. A, second reading of ordinance 1, 2016, an ordinance relating to property maintenance.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, tonight is the culmination of a long and arduous process that began in April of last year. I'll ask for public comment here in a second. The only comments that I'm going to make are number one, I want to thank Commissioner Caslin and his committee of citizens from across Daviess County who worked and brought the initial proposal to us. I want to thank all of the citizens in Daviess County who called or emailed or participated in the many open forums that we had. I want to thank Farm Bureau for participating and serving on the committee as well. And I particularly want to thank Claude and Jenny for all the hard work. Jenny, your fingers have grown back to their normal length now, for all the hard work that they put into this. And above all, commissioners, I want to thank you, because it was at times it got a little heated. At times it was a little frustrating, but in the end, I think that we have an ordinance that we can be proud of. I think we have an ordinance that Claude can defend. I think that we have an ordinance that any 5 of us in this room could read and all come to the same conclusion. And I think we have an ordinance that is fair for the entire county and community. And that was the goal to begin with. And lastly, it does no harm to agriculture, which was the other task that I had given you. So, commissioners, with that, I'm going to open it up to Claude. Do you need to read anything into this?
I think we've read it before, Judge, just to make sure it is the ordinance relating to property maintenance. We want to preserve the integrity in rural neighborhoods and communities, and that we have found it necessary to enact and preserve this ordinance to preserve health, safety, welfare, and convenience of the inhabitants of Daviess County. This is second reading, so upon approval, it will become effective.
Upon approval and publication. Right. Commissioner Caslin, I'll start with you.
Judge, I appreciate your opening comments, and I think we accomplished all those things that you said. I did cross paths since the first reading with one of our citizens who's in the agricultural business, and thanked us for some of the edits that we made since we first put it on our website for public inspection. I did want to introduce one of our committee members is here tonight. Mr. Keith Stiff is here, and I thank you.
Keith, thank you
for your service in this endeavor, and that's all I have.
Okay, commissioners.
Well, it was frustrating, and I think a lot of it was maybe some misunderstanding, trying to understand, and being able to go out and drive around in the county as well and look at some items that Mike Hamilton had pointed out. Helped a whole lot in this. So I think, as you said, Judge, we're all still speaking to each other.
Right. Commissioner Wathen?
I think overall it's a good ordinance. We did work on it hard. In fact, one time I think I made the comment, it's kind of like an ice sculpture. You just keep chipping away at it, and sooner or later you get it. So I think we had a lot of interaction from the public and on this fiscal court, and I think we have a good ordinance, and I like it. So
okay. I'll open it up to the public. Anyone from the public wish to comment? Yes, sir. Come forward and identify yourself.
I'm Jeff Beery with, President of Daviess County Farm Bureau, and I'll be short and sweet. I want to address the fiscal court, Judge Mattingly and the commissioners and everybody else that had anything to do with this proposal. I'd like to thank the fiscal court for allowing Farm Bureau to be a part of this process. It was important to us, and I think you saw from the community there was a lot of questions that was raised. And thank you for the consideration from the farm community and the farm issues that was raised. I'd like to thank you for working with us on rewriting some areas of concern with the proposal. And thank you also for being patient and answering the same questions hundreds of times. I know you're about ready to pull your hair out but thank you for being so,
I think some of us did.
thank you for being so businesslike and everything. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Jeff, thank you. Anybody else? Anyone else? Okay, folks, let's finish this business up. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. What'd you say, Jenny? Yay.
B, second reading of ordinance 2, 2016, an ordinance relating to the Davis County Road, Bridge, and Street System.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Commissioners, on a frequent basis, the county engineer brings to us an update of the roads and bridges in the county, partly because it's necessary that we keep a list of all those roads and bridges, because if they're not on the road index, then we're not allowed to spend any taxpayer dollars in their maintenance. So I'm going to ask you, do you have any questions or comment regarding this list of the latest Davis County Road and Street Index? Would you, Engineer Brasher, would you have any comment?
I do not.
When you made the sale, you don't go on further, do you? Anyone from the audience, any comment or question? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
C, first reading of 220.26, or ordinance 316, an ordinance amending KOC 220.26, 2016, authorizing and establishing a development area for economic and infrastructure development to be known as the Davis County Development Area Number 1, establishing the percentage of increment that Davis County will authorize each year, approving and authorizing the amount of increments to be authorized, including the authority to enter into local development area and to impose assessment fees on newly created jobs within the development area.
First reading, we don't need a motion or a second. Mr. Smith, do you want to talk about this?
Yes, as you all recall, last year, Glenmore Distillery, Sazerac, approached the fiscal court about creating this economic development area. It's where their new warehouse is located. They will be, in the near future, opening that up. One of the issues that's occurred between then and now is when they had us set this up, they wanted the tax rate to be the same in this district that is in the city, so to make it easier on their accounting. Since that point in time that we approved this, the city raised their occupational tax. So we are going back to raise the assessment to match it per their request.
That's the only difference in the term. The term stays the same. The
only other difference is that Claude wanted to change everything from future tense to past tense.
Okay.
We'd already issued. We're amending the ordinance, so all we're doing is just amending the prior ordinance.
Okay.
Because of the way our new ordinances are put in, we don't get rid of the old one and bring a new one in. We just amend the one that's there, so we're changing it. And then the other thing that Commissioner Koger mentioned this morning, there are findings of facts that are attached. Those findings of facts really are attached to the original one,
right.
So I think that it's okay that they still say 1.33.
Okay. The thing that I'm going to point out is that the termination date doesn't change at the end of the 10-year agreement. It would revert to whatever the tax rate that the county had. If it's still 0.35, it would go back to 0.35. Okay. Any other question or comment, commissioners?
That was going to be my question. You talk about Section 8?
Section 8, yes.
So that 10-year review refers to the first time?
The first
Yes.
time when we
Again, we're just amending the prior
Right.
ordinance, so the parts that are in yellow in here or that are interlined will be taken out, and
Right.
this will be substituted.
This Sazerac is SFG East, right? Where part of it's in the city, part of it's in the county. Any other question or comment? Question or comment by the public? All right, next item, Jenny.
Item 5, consideration for discussion. A, other business to be brought before the Davis County Fiscal Court. 1, consideration for approval to purchase restroom partitions for the parks.
Before I get a motion and second, commissioners, let me shake my finger at all the staff here. It seems like we are getting more and more items brought under other business, And really, that's just for emergency. Sometimes I think, and Commissioner Caslen chided me not too long ago about doing something that was under other business when we didn't really need to. So, Jenny, I want you to send out a memo reminding them and giving them dates, and that only for extraordinary reasons will we accept something at a later date.
I will do so.
Did I do good?
Yes, you did.
Okay. All right.
Without prompting.
Purchase restroom partitions for the park. Do I hear a motion?
Motion approved.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Lee, or no, I'm sorry, Jordan, it's you. Thank God it's you.
Yes, Judge, this is for fiscal court approval for purchase of an item in excess of $10,000 per Administrative Code. 3 quotes were obtained for replacement restroom partitions at Panther Creek Park. Schrecker Supply Company is the lowest quote received. It meets all our expectations, preferences, and delivery schedules. It's our recommendation to purchase the solid plastic restroom partitions in the amount of $10,412 from Schrecker Supply Company.
Mr. Lee, could you come to the podium and let me ask you a question or two?
Yes, Judge.
What code requires us to put partitions up?
Well, Judge, we attempted to be able to use, as Commissioner Wathen had suggested, a concrete block wall. Obviously, the longevity, but by virtue of the placement of the toilets in ADA code, we weren't able to do that without squeezing the last toilet down to such a width that I don't know if I could fit in. So
Okay.
this is
What,
the best.
you are not answering my question. What code requires that we put partitions up?
The public code, Judge. We expect partitions.
Go
between
sit down. Go sit
the
down.
toilets.
Any question or comment by the commission? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Purchase heavy equipment trailer for the road department.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Brasher, can you make a better argument for this one than the Parks Director did?
Yes. Due to the purchase of new equipment, the Bobcat, for instance, and due to the increase in miles of road that we are repaving now and have been, and the amount of pipes that we are changing out, we find ourselves in a need for a trailer that can also haul heavy equipment around. Right now we're having to juggle between several pieces of heavy equipment with only one trailer that can handle some of the backhoes, another one too short, so that is putting some of our operations in delays. This would significantly help our efficiency and effectiveness.
Mr. Lee, did you come up missing a trailer last year or the year before? 2 years ago. Mr. Brasher.
Yes, sir.
Let me suggest where you might find the trailer. Any question or comment by the commission? This is money that's in your budget. It's not extra money. You're not requiring anything else.
No, it was in the capital equipment. We came in under on that account. We have money in that account that will cover this expenditure.
Okay. Any other question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Advertise for bid number 4, 2016, landfill cell construction, geosynthetics.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioners, I'm going to make assumption this is the large rolls of liner that we're looking to purchase now, which should save us quite a bit of money in the future because, again, we go back to the EPA regulation, which now requires CCR to go into a contained landfill. Believe it or not, there is a run on this material, and it's really tough to find it, so we're going to purchase it, pay for it, and then store it. Any question or comment? This, again, this is an advertisement for bid. Question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Replace entrance gate operators at Operations Center.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Brasher.
Yes, Judge. A couple months ago, our gates that go to our front entrance to the Operations Center became in a state of disrepair. We finally had it looked at. In essence, the gate operators were more of a residential type operators. To fix them, we're looking at about $5,000, or we can go up to a more commercial type operator for just over $6,000. We've got the quotes, and I recommend approval to proceed with getting the commercial type operators for.
Mark, could you go through that again while you were making a presentation? Jenny whispered in my ear and I completely was disrupted.
I can.
No. Question or comment by the commission?
Is this gonna be on the gates, kinda like what we have out here where we have a little clicker?
It's our existing gates. It's the actual mechanics that open the
The
gates. They have not
actuators.
been able to close for about 2 months at this point.
I was just hoping you could program my little clicker so I
It's a s
Is
you
this
didn't have
just-
a clicker before, did you?
There.
Is this one operator,
Mic was
Mark?
off. No, not yours, George's.
Is this one operator? How many is this?
Two.
Two, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other question or comment? Would you get George's clicker to Joe Paul, please?
I can.
Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Let me quickly say this was in the budget, not the particular purchase, but the money is in the budget.
That's correct.
Okay. Next item, Jenny.
Replace surety bond at Lakeside at the Downs Unit Number 3.
Move
Motion
to
approved.
approve.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Brasher.
Thompson Homes is requesting that we replace two of their existing bonds for public improvements that were in the form of letter of credit with, they have provided us with the like amount in surety bonds. Recommend approval.
Question or comment? Yes, sir.
Just curious, I know we've talked, you and I have talked before about whether or not bond amounts are enough, and sometimes we relook at those. Have we looked at these, and I heard what you said, we're just replacing these with like a dollar amount.
I believe these are.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other question or comment? Commissioner, to speak to that, one of the things that we do with the public improvement is that public improvement specs every year or 2 years, they're reviewed by a group and they come up with per square foot, per lineal foot of items so that when they're bonded, that those bonds are current at cost, because used to, you'd look at a lineal foot of street paving and it'd stay the same for 10 years, and then when you put up a bond, it's easier for the guy to walk from the bond than it is to do the paving. So that is looked at. If there's no other question or comment, any question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
B, public comments.
This is the time during a meeting in which we ask the public to come forward, identify themselves, and they're welcome to speak on anything other than what was on the agenda. Are you going to speak or are you leaving? Oh, okay.
I was actually going to assist Mr. Lee on the ANSI A117.1 ADA compliance to be able to tell you why the walls, but I won't do that. I wanted to speak to Jenny Warren with her resource day that she had, and I'm not for sure if it's brought up since that time, but it was a great thing to see the people that came out to that event. The last comment that I made to her when I left, and it was very successful, was hopefully one day that some of the homeless that we see, or the people that need help, that event that she may put on in the future, no one attends. That would be the greatest goal I think she could ever accomplish. It was a great event for everyone. People talked about working and jobs, qualified workers. Those individuals were there to be able to find people to work, and it was. So, Jenny, you did a great job. Absolutely
I
wonderful.
didn't do it all by myself.
And you
that's for
didn't.
sure.
Your people, everyone that was there, it was an awesome thing for you to do.
Thank you.
Hopefully one day it won't be needed. Hopefully it is. So thank you very much.
I assume you're talking about the point in time count
It's called the K count now.
or the K count now. It used to be point in time to try to identify those folks who are homeless and needed assistance in the community. And I thought it was neat the way you used all the things left over in preparing those baskets that the police departments and the responders could hand out, because, and we're gonna need them this week. We've got,
You will need them to
yeah.
even.
So,
I
okay.
thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Need to be recognized. It was
Thank
awesome
you.
done.
Anyone else? Next item, Jenny.
C, comments by Daviess Fiscal Court.
Commissioner Colger?
Yes, Judge, I would like to make 2 comments. One would be, if anyone out there would like to adopt a dog or cat, we have 60 dogs and 40 cats. So we'd like to get those moving, and don't forget to remember Valentine's Day coming up shortly.
Are you kind of asking them to send you a Valentine?
I'm asking if you may give the girls here a Valentine.
Oh, I give
think
them
that'd be nice.
raspberries. Commissioner Watson.
I thought you meant you wanted them to give their Valentine a cat or a dog.
Well, that'd be
Well,
nice.
that would be neat.
That would be
wouldn't
nice.
it?
Good idea.
You wouldn't be a
Good-
Valentine for
nice
very
gift.
long.
I'll
Yeah.
pass.
Okay, Commissioner Caslin.
I don't have the dates, but I'm sure you will. The 2 meetings, public meetings,
Oh,
Yes.
I'm gonna let you do that. But
Okay.
I wanna make sure it wasn't overlooked. That's all I have.
Well, I want to remind those folks who are interested in the Cedar Hills package treatment plant and the Friendly Park, aka Friendly Village package plant, on Thursday evening at what's
6 o'clock.
who? Country Heights. I never can remember the name of that school. At Country Heights at 6 o'clock, we will have a meeting pertaining to the package plant at Cedar Hills, and a proposal, what we think, what RWRA thinks we need to do going forward. I think we've identified that path that you've heard me talk about so many times, and we want to make the public fully aware of what's going on. I would really encourage the public to come to that meeting, as well as the meeting at Friendly Village at St. Martin's at 6 o'clock Friday evening, because I talked to Mr. Wilkins with the Messenger this morning about the importance of people who are involved coming and hearing for themselves out of the mouth of the people who have been involved in these things, so that you don't get a lot of rumors started, that we don't get the what'd you call it, a troll out on the internet stirring things up and putting out false and bad information. This is where you will have an opportunity to talk to your elected officials. You'll have an opportunity to talk to RWRA. If we can't answer your question, I promise you that we will do our very best to get the answer for you. So again, Cedar Hills, Thursday night at
6 o'clock.
Country Heights, 6 p.m. It's a mental block. It's just a mental block. And Friday evening at 6 p.m. at St. Martin's Church, or there at the school, Parish Hall. So please come out. Please come out. We need your input.
Judge, they do want you to enter the front door of the school at Country Heights.
Okay.
So,
What was that school?
Country Heights, at
Okay.
Country Heights, yeah.
Okay, just
6 o'clock.
just testing you.
He doesn't have that mental block, Judge.
Again, I want to thank everyone was involved in the K count. It's an important exercise in this community. And it's important because a lot of people don't understand that a lot of those federal and state dollars flow down to local governments for their use in fighting homelessness, near homelessness, hunger, and health issues, all those kinds of issues. So it's extremely important. If you have not attended one, you don't have to be homeless to come and volunteer to help. Jenny will take all the...
And you don't have to be homeless to attend. You just basically need to be in need of help.
In need of help. So, we are all in need of help, aren't we, Ross, on occasion? I received a card from the Chamber of Commerce thanking us for our participation in their big night back in January for our sponsorship. Today I received an anonymous letter. It was in regard to the jail, and it said, go out, take a look around, you'll see. And I want to assure this person that on a regular basis, I go out and I go through that jail and I look around and I do see. And I see a jailer, an elected official, has an awfully hard job to do with not much support from the state financially. Anonymous letters, I don't know how to respond to you. I don't know who to respond. So, but I do want to assure you, if you're watching, that that's part of my job to inspect that jail. And I take my job seriously, and I do it on a regular basis. If there's no other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court, what'd I do, Larry? Oh, sitting in front, yeah, can you get a picture down here in front of us? There's a picture of the community priorities list. There are two lists, one for transportation and one for capital projects. It's extremely important that we all support them. Is it Thursday that this is going to happen in Frankfort?
Western Kentucky night.
Western Kentucky night, Thursday evening from 5 to 7. Right. And then there was White Flag Days. Want to remind everybody that White Flag is a community project and priority driven by the Homeless Council, that when we have a homeless shelter, when the temperature and wind chill factor reaches a certain point, that they will fly a white flag. It says anybody is welcome to come into this facility for a meal and shelter this evening. Tonight, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, and Thursday, I think, are all going to be in that range. So if you see somebody and they're struggling, tell them where they can go. St. Benedict's is specifically driving it, correct?
Any of our shelters will accept and route the person to the needed shelter.
So if there's no other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court, without exception, we're adjourned.